Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the MCC live stream series looking at the Apple Teacher CPD program. My name is Richard Child. I'm the Education Manager for MCC Digital. We are an Apple authorised education specialist helping schools up and down the country with iPads and their Macs. And with me today is Mr. David Kirtland, as always, Apple Professional Learning Specialist. And David, what are we looking at today, please?
Well, we're going on to the next badge today. So we're going to have a look at iMovie, which is perhaps the first app that people really get to grips with in the classroom when they start using iPads. But it's a really quite a powerful tool that we can get our heads around.
Excellent. Let's take a look. Fire up.
Okay, so let's just jump back to the Apple Teacher Learning Center to start with and just remind ourselves where we are. So I'm here on appleteacher.apple.com and you can sign in with your Apple ID. So we're working through this section here that says Learn Skills for iPad. And we've already had a look at the first few badges now. So we really are cracking through this. We've done all the productivity ones, looking at pages, keynote, and numbers. So we're now on to the creative ones, and we're going to start today looking at iMovie. So iMovie does let us make videos very, very easily in the classroom, and these become an amazing tool, really. It's all about getting children to present their knowledge and understanding in a slightly different way. So we're not always just writing things down. We still do a lot of that, of course, but this is about giving them the opportunity to present things a little bit differently. And iMovie is just so powerful at doing that and really engages the children. Now, we do talk about creating movies a lot, but really this is just a big literacy project. We've always got to do that research. We've got to do all that planning. We've got to get all those facts and think about creating a script and creating those full sentences and all the things that go along with that. And this is just an engagement tool really to help the children put that together and really get to grips with it. So let's jump in and have a look at iMovie. And there are a few things we want to just start with, looking at these first few boxes there on Apple Teacher. So we've got having a look at iMovie. We're going to look at how we can put photos and videos in and trim those back. And then we're going to go and have a look at some transitions and titles to start with. So let's have our first look at iMovie. And iMovie on the iPad really is quite amazing. Like all the other apps, I can see all my documents here. I've got all sorts of video projects I've been making, and we have that plus button to create a new project. Now, iMovie really does do a lot of the difficult work with us when we're creating films on the iPad. We really have to focus on the content and the structure and what we're going to put in there. iMovie does the difficult bit of making it look good for us. And the first thing it's asking here is, do we want to make a movie or do we want to make a trailer? Well, we're going to have a quick look at both in this session, but we're going to spend a little first bit of the time looking at creating a movie, which is probably what you will use most in the classroom anyway. So if we select movie, the iPad now is showing me all my photos and videos that I have already on my iPad. And I could simply go tap, tap, tap and press create movie, and the iPad would have a go at making the whole film for us. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have nothing selected and still press create movie. And all that does is give me a blank project. So we've got complete control over what we're doing, and we can see how we might build something up from the beginning. So the app itself, let's find our way around it. The top left-hand corner is our preview window, so we can see the films we're making. Over to the right, we have our media browser, which lets us get to our photos, our videos, our music, anything we have on our iPad that we might need to make our film. And then along the bottom is our timeline where we actually put our video together. And that little vertical line, that's the current position playhead there. That tells us whereabouts we are in our film. So let's start putting some content in here. So in my media browser, I could go to my photos or my videos. I've actually done a little bit of research. We've picked a topic and we've got some resources, some photos and some videos, and I've put those together in an album already. So there they are in my album. Let's go down to the bottom. So we're going to do a little project on castles today. And the nice thing about albums is it groups together photos and videos and anything else that we can put together in our project. So we're not just switching between the photos and the videos on our iPad. So we're just going to make a short little clip today, but obviously you can spend a lot more time exploring this and making longer documentaries and videos in iMovie. So the first thing we might want to do is probably add a clip to our timeline. So I'm going to add a photo, and this really is the same whether it's a photo or a video. So I've got a photo there, which I think is going to be my opening section of my film, our documentary we're making today. And when I select it, it goes yellow and it brings a little plus button up there, so I can add that now to my timeline. And there it is, it bounces down onto the timeline. And I've got a region down here on the bottom of my screen, and I can grab that with my finger and just pull it either side of that current position line, our playhead. So I can go right back to the beginning and I can tap play and see what our photo looks like in our video. And there it is. We can see there it's telling us at the end of that clip, our video so far is 8.8 seconds long. So we've got a fairly short clip so far, and it's just in there. Now, if I tap that region, it does go yellow, and I can adjust a few things here. So we've got an area pop up on the bottom of the screen. This bit down here is what we call the inspector. We don't have the usual eye that we get with a lot of inspectors, but that's where we get to a lot of the edit tools. And while it's yellow, we can trim this clip. If this is a photo, which it is, I can grab that yellow marker and I can shorten the length of time that photo is displaying for in our video, or similarly, I can extend it for as long as I like. If that's a video clip, it's exactly the same, but obviously a video you can't extend longer than the original video that you recorded. But we can pull this along here. Now, if I make this longer, you might notice that it looks like the photo's in my video now 4 times. It's not, we've only added it to our timeline once, but all we've got there is a thumbnail preview saying that for those 20 seconds or so, it's the same image. It doesn't change because it's a photograph. A video, you would have different thumbnails in there as the video perhaps change depending on the content. So it's just in there the once. Let's shorten it down. We'll use this as the beginning opening title. So somewhere around 6 or 7 seconds is probably about right. So as we play the video back, you might notice that it's quite subtle, but the photograph is slowly moving in our preview window. And iMovie does this for us itself. It's called the Ken Burns effect, and it's something that makes photos look really quite nice when we're watching this back. It just gives a little bit more interest to the images, and it looks really quite slick. And most of the time, let iMovie get on with it. It looks great, it works really well. But there are times when you might want to take back a little bit more control and edit that Ken Burns effect. Ken Burns, if you're wondering, is a documentary film director. He makes lots of documentaries where he uses this technique a lot, really to make you look at something on a photograph or really bring something to your attention. So we can tap on that region. So just as we did before when it went yellow, but on my preview window, we've now got a couple of options appear. So there it says Ken Burns enabled. If we don't want the image to move at all, we can just turn it off there. Now, if we've taken photos of children's written work, perhaps we don't want that to move so we can read it nice and easily on the screen. And that might be an example of when we turn off that Ken Burns effect. But I'm going to leave it on. And we've got these other 2 options, pinch to position the start and pinch to position the end. So let's have a look. So the start position is where the clip starts. So I'm going to zoom out and we're going to see the whole clip of this castle here. And then I'm going to find my end position. And I think I just want to zoom in a little bit on the castle. So let's have a look. If I play it now, you see how it's following that focus. It's moving into the castle as the clip runs through those 6.7 seconds there. So we can adjust that around and we can play around with it until we get something we're happy with. But it really is simple to edit that Ken Burns effect. So let's add in another clip here. Let's put one on there. Let's go for, let's have a look at this one. I think we'll add in. And you see how easy it is to put more than one clip in here, whether they're photos or videos. And if these are in the wrong order, we simply hold one for a second and we can swap things around. We just drag them around, hold it for a second and it pops up and we can move it around the project. Similarly, if you tap on it, you do get that delete button down in the bottom corner. So it becomes really quite easy to delete clips within our project as well. Okay, so we've got 2 clips in there. Let's just jump back to the Apple Teacher resource and just remind ourselves what we're looking at. So we've put some clips in there. We've worked with some of the trimming tools. We know how to do that. We've added some photos. Let's look at these 2 here where we can add transitions and we can add titles to our project. And this is where it looks really quite slick. Now, back in our project, we've added 2 photos here, which will be exactly the same if these were video clips. And you might notice it's automatically added a transition in between these 2 clicks. So we don't just get a jump from one clip to another. We've got a nice crossfade. That's why we've got those 2 triangles there. That represents a crossfade. So one fades out and the other clip fades in. So it's automatically added a really nice transition in there. And we can just leave that. That's fine. That looks great as it is. But if you do tap on that transition, you do get some options there. You get some different styles. Maybe you want to try a wipe transition. So it swipes across. We could try different styles if we want. We've got some durations. Could make it a slower transition if we want. We can add a sound effect, have a nice swooshing sound in there if we particularly want. I think I'm going to add a fade in, which will add a little fade to black. So we've got the opening credits, the opening title, then it fades to black and we get into our documentary. So we've got a nice slick opening there. So we do have quite a bit of control over the transitions that we might want to include in the project. But if we don't want to, iMovie kind of does it for us. It gives us that little bit of help. So that's transitions, really. Let's think about adding titles. So this is my first slide. This is the opening of our documentary that we're making. So we're evidencing our understanding and knowledge about castles. And the first thing we probably want is a title on our project. So if I select that region, it brings up that inspector area at the bottom of the screen. And we've got a few options here. We've been on the actions tab, that little scissors icon, which lets us do the trimming and we can pull things in lengthwise. But we've got a few other options here. And depending on what we have, whether it's a photo or a video, the options are slightly different. But we've got a T for titles for all of these clips. So we can press T and we can add a title. Now, iMovie gives us this nice selection of animated titles that we can use. And this has become one of those areas that's just been updated in the last update or so of iMovie, and it's added some really nice features. So we've got lots of different styles. I think I'm going to go for that animated 2-line one. And it puts my text on the preview window, and it simply says title text here. So if I want to change that, let's tap it, and we can edit that title. And let's call this Castles. And then I think I'll edit the second line there, and we'll say history. Let's put an ampersand in, and let's say structure. So we'll look at some of the buildings. So we can edit our title, and we've got this nice little animation. Let's have a quick look. Okay, and it fades on and it fades off there. It looks really quite nice, but it's not on the screen for very long at all. So let's have a look at these options that we do get now. So over on the left-hand side, we get these font options now. So we can actually change quite a lot of the way these titles look. We can use those 2 A's, completely change the font if we prefer. We can change the color now, which is very nice depending on what we're doing and whether we want to match things together. We can put our titles in any color, but we also have that more button where we get a few other options. So those 3 dots give us a couple of things where we can add things like a shadow to it. I'm going to select that one at the bottom that says full clip duration. So the title lasts for that full clip. You've also got an option there. Let's add the sound effect. Let's see what it does to this one. So let's look and see how that's changed our titles. And that's lasting for the whole duration now. And we've got that nice little swoosh with a jingle at the end. So we have got a nice beginning to our documentary. Then we've got a crossfade, or we've got a fade to black, and then we've got our second clip in. Let's add another photo in. Let's put some of the castle walls in. There we go. And I'm going to leave the Ken Burns as it was, but I think I'm going to add another T for titles. And let's just go for a single line this time. So we've got title text here. Let's edit. I'm going to call it Castle Walls. Now, this time, I don't want the title across the middle of the screen. That's great when we've got the opening of our documentary, but I can simply grab it and drag it down with my finger and pinch to make it a bit smaller and put it down in the bottom corner. So this looks quite slick. Maybe I'm interviewing one of the other children and I put their name and their job title, depending if they've been a broadcaster, a news broadcaster, or maybe this could be some extra facts about a process they've been filming. We can use this to evidence some of that learning and knowledge. But we've got this nice little bit of writing now at the bottom of the screen. So really, this is starting to come along quite well. Now, this brings us into some of the more exciting things we can start doing with iMovie. As we start getting a bit more confident with it, we've added photos, we can add videos, we can add titles and transitions, but really we probably want to hear the children's voices. We want to hear them telling us their knowledge, their understanding. They've done all this research, let them tell us about it in a nice and fun way. So I'm going to place my playhead at the beginning of this clip here. And this is great. This is one of those lovely little features of iMovie. And over on the left-hand side, we've got a microphone, and that lets me add a voiceover. So we simply tap it and we can record into the iPad and let the children explain their knowledge and their understanding about whatever topic our film is about. So if I tap my microphone, It's now listening. It's picking up the signal level as I'm talking. And we just hit record and we get a 3-second countdown and we can record our voiceover. Today we're looking at castles. We're going to explore the buildings and all the things that happen in the life of a castle. Okay, and I'm going to accept that. We do get the option to review it and retake it, but let's just accept. And it's put that audio recording down there at the bottom of the screen. Let's have a quick look. Today we're looking at castles. We're going to explore the buildings and all the things that happen in the life of a castle. And that's great. So that's working fine. But we do have that option to hold it and we can move it around into different places if we got our audio recording slightly in the wrong place. And I can record over as many of those regions as I like, or video clips, and just keep talking really. So our documentary is starting to look really quite nice, and we've added some nice rich content in there to think about what we do and really emphasize the literacy and the writing of the script there, so we do get some nice content from the children. Let's jump back to Apple Teacher. So we've jumped around this. We've had a look at transitions. We've put titles in there. We've just added some of the audio elements into our project there. Let's have a look at these two green ones where we can add some more interesting content. We've got some overlays and we can start working with green screen, which is where iMovie comes alive. All the children love doing this. It's a real good way of engaging the children with finding those facts so they can present it back. So let's go back to iMovie. Now, I've already recorded a quick clip. We can see it up here. There's 10 seconds of me stood in front of a green screen. Green screen is just a green piece of material or a green wall, something that's roughly that color, and we can use that really nicely in iMovie. Now, this could just be a video clip and I'm not stood in front of a green screen, depending what I want to do with it. That's where the overlays come in. I'll use this clip for a quick demo of those as well. But let's have a quick look. If I just add that in a linear fashion, so in the normal way, it's just there pressing that plus. We can see there I am stood in front of a green screen talking about castles. Now, I don't need this in a normal linear structure. I didn't want to just press plus so it's straight after those photographs. So let's delete that. And I'm going to think about using the overlays. And an overlay is how we put a video clip, in our case, that green screen, overlaid over another clip. So I'm going to put a photograph in. And this could be a video. It makes no difference. Let's add it in. So there it is. I'm going to drag it out and give ourselves a little bit more time. And I'm going to place my playhead at the beginning of that clip. And let's go back. Now, in fact, actually, before I do that, I think we'll go back to our Actions tab and we'll turn off that Ken Burns effect so that our background's not moving. Now, if we go back to that green screen clip, instead of pressing the plus, if I press plus now, it inserts it right in the middle of those two clips. It'll just squash it between the two. But I'm going to press that More button, those 3 dots. And this gives me access to the overlays and the green screen. So let's have a quick look at what an overlay is first. So overlay would be this picture in picture or a cutaway. A cutaway would just temporarily replace the clip. Picture in picture lets me pop up in the corner. So if I'm doing a news broadcast, I can pop up there and explain what's happening in the video or the photograph. I can actually use these buttons on the screen and move it around into different areas of the screen if it places better over there. So they can be really useful if we're doing something like a news broadcast. Let's delete that for a moment and let's try one of the other overlays. I do get split screen, and split screen is exactly what we think. It splits the screen between 2 video clips or 2 pictures or a picture and a video clip. This is useful if you've got 2 videos that you want to compare and contrast. So maybe you're on the sports field and you've got 2 videos of a high jump or some kind of task that we're doing. One that's not done so well, one that's done much better, and the children can then add a voiceover to explain, well, why does that one work? And you can see the difference there side by side. We also have the option for green and blue screen here. I'm using a green screen. It doesn't really matter if it's a blue screen either. So let's use that option. Let's pop it down there as a green screen. It inserts the clip and we let iMovie think for a moment, and it's analyzing where all those green bits are, and you can see that it's replaced it with that picture we have on the main body of our timeline. And there it is. It works really simply and easily. Now, my green screen video is not done very well because I've kind of given the game away. I've missed some of the green background. I've got a clip there so we can see that we're not just stood in front of this castle, and we've got a bit of a shadow in there. It's giving us a bit of an effect that says that sky's looking a bit funny there. Now, when we're working with the children, do try and encourage them to really think about the background, and we've got the whole background green behind us and we've got no shadow. So we've got a nice outcome when we start using that clip. But we've got some nice features inside iMovie, it'll let us correct some of this. So if I select that region, it goes yellow, we can trim it down, we can edit the ends off, but I do get these two options up here. I've got that little slider one to change the strength of the green screen effect, and I've got the square one there that is what we call green screen masking, and that's kind of a bit of magic really inside iMovie. So if I press the masking, it puts these yellow dots around the corners, and I can now just pull in the corners and kind of say, let's just pretend that bit didn't happen, and it just cuts it out of the green screen effect and just takes it away. And in fact, that's probably solved that problem with the shadows. But just in case, we've got a strength slider, which if we did have some problems with the shadows, that would probably solve as well. So let's have a quick look.
Now we're going to explore different areas of the castle. We're going to have a walk around and have a look at the keep, the inner bailey, and the outer bailey of this castle.
So this can be a really effective tool in the classroom. It really engages the children. All children want to go at this. Most teachers as well, really. But let's have a quick look. We just need to edit this down. Let's shorten that clip off so I don't just disappear. And then we've got something looking quite nice. We can jump into our inspector and have a look at the volume. So we do get some audio controls if I need to increase the volume. When we do green screen, we tend to be a little bit further away from the iPad, so it can be a little bit quieter. So sometimes we just need to just increase that volume a shade and just turn it up a little bit. We do get some options to adjust the speed of the video as well. Depending on what you're doing, you can slow-mo video clips, you can freeze frame it, which again can be really nice if you're filming sports activities or science activities where you want to explain the content a bit further. So we're nearly there. This is looking really quite good now. We've got all our project together. The last thing we might want to do to this video is add some music. So let's go over to the audio tab and we can access any of my music, or we can go to the soundtracks. And iMovie now gives us dozens and dozens of pieces of music that we can include in our iMovie project. And to have a look at these, we just tap through them. And if you tap it, you can preview it, and then we can add the plus to add it into our project. So there's a really nice one. I think we might go for something nice and dramatic for our documentary about castles. I'm going to go for this one by Hans Zimmer, Big Sky. Let's have a quick listen. So I think that's going to work really well. So let's press the plus, and it adds the big green bar down to the bottom of our film. Now, one of the nice things about iMovie is that it knows when the children are talking. That's one of the really important things. So we want to focus on what the children are telling us and what they're saying. And iMovie will turn the music down while the children are talking, turn it back up again when they finish. We call it ducking. It ducks the music out of the way. So we don't have to worry too much about using the audio option and turning the level down. iMovie kind of does a lot of it for us. Let's have a quick look at how our film is looking now.
Today we're looking at castles. We're going to explore the buildings and all the things that happen in the life of a castle. Now we're going to explore different areas of the castle. We're going to have a walk around and have a look at the keep, the inner bailey, and the outer bailey of this castle.
So we can keep going. We can add more and more content. We can really trim those edits so they work quite nicely. But it's a great way of engaging the children, getting them to present this information back really nicely. We do get another option there with filters. So we can add some effects to it as well, to individual clips. There's a lovely one for the silent era there, gives it that really old feel, depending on what we're doing, if we've dressed the children up. If you use the cog setting up at the top, you can apply those filters to the entire project rather than just individual clips. But there's so much we can do with iMovie, and this really is just the starting point to make sure we know the basics so we can go through and work with our Apple Teacher badge before we start really using it in the classroom. We do need to give one quick thing to when we're finished. We do go back to our project settings. We can name it there instead of it being my project, my movie 87. We can name it appropriately just by tapping on it. But we do want to share it. When we finish, we want to create a finished video. So we probably want to save that video option there. We can use that option and export the project. If we want to share it between children to carry on working on different iPads, we can export the project as well as the finished movie. But we're kind of there with iMovie. So they're the main things we need to think about. Just very quickly before we finish, let's just press plus to create a new project and have a first glance at trailers, because trailers are really good fun. You probably won't use these as much in a classroom as the movie side, but they're great for maybe summing up projects that the children have been working on. If you take lots of photos and videos, you can do a little summary of it. Maybe when they've been out on a class trip, when we can do those things again, just take some photos and videos, put a little trailer together on the way home. But this gives us all sorts of templates, and it creates like a Hollywood style 1 minute or so blockbuster film trailer. And these templates give it the style, the music, the text style, and so on. We just put the photos in, we can edit what the text says, but iMovie does the rest for us. So they look kind of like this. Okay, I'll cut that one there, but you get the idea. These look really great, and we can focus on the content, and iMovie does the rest. And there's loads of these styles. I'm going to put a quick one together. I'm going to go for fairy tale, just so you can see how these work. And let's create the project. So again, on the left, top left, we have our preview window. In the bottom left is our media browser, and on the right is where we edit it together. And on the right-hand side, we get two sides to this. We've got an outline where we can now add in a title. So these could be the names and of the children who've been involved and the roles that they've been taking on in this project. We just type it in. And then we go over to the storyboard side, which is where we put the structure of the film together. And we got some writing in these blue bars. So we can tap on there and we can edit any of that writing. We can tap and we just edit the name in there, edit the text in there, and that updates it on the screen. And these gray areas are saying, now, this is where we put our content in here. And it's asking for either a photo or a video. If you're going to do this, just have plenty of photos and videos available. You do need quite a few to work through this to put in there. But you'll notice a lot of these are very, very short. That one's 1.8 seconds, 2.5 seconds. And it's giving us a bit of a clue as to what we might want to put in there. You don't have to stick to it, but it's saying maybe a medium shot to start with here, then a close-up, and then a shot of two people. We might get an action shot in there or a long shot. It's just a bit of guidance to help the structure fit together, but you don't have to stay to this at all. Now, I'm not going to edit the text for the moment, and I think I'm just going to go to one of my albums that has some photos on here. So once upon a time, let's put a photo in there, and we just tap it, and it pops into the template for us. Let's have a close-up. Let's have this one. And then it's asking for a shot of two people. I've not got one, so I think I'm going to put, I'll put one of these in, I'll put that one in. And then we have a few more to put in. Let's just put some images in. So I'm going to put these in, and we'll have that one. And then on her birthday, let's have that one and that one. And we can keep going and add these in there. So you can see how quick and easy it is to start putting these together. Now, if I want to edit any of these, so let's have a look. If I tap on there, notice this takes us straight to that Ken Burns effect, just like it did in the full side of iMovie. So we have the start position, so I can just pinch again, and then we have an end position where I can set the actual setting. Let's do a couple of these so we can see. So I might need to just make sure it's not chopping tops of heads off and things like this, because some of these photos might be a little bit portrait orientation for this, but let's try it and see. Let's do the same with that one. Okay, so let's have a look. Straight away, if I go back to the beginning and press play, our template now is looking like this. Okay, and we need to add some more photos there. We've still got these blank templates now, these gray areas where we can put more photos in. But it's just giving you an idea of how quick and easy it is to put these together, and they look so slick. When we finish, just like the full version of iMovie, we press done, and we do need to think about sharing that at the end. So we've got a finished video back in our photo library. But really, that's just a quick look at iMovie. It's a huge app. There's so much to cover, but we've started the ball rolling there. But we've covered pretty much everything we need to worry about for the Apple Teacher Badge there.
Absolutely incredible as always, and what an app it is as well. It's a real powerhouse, isn't it? And I just watching your example with the castles there, and I'm just thinking to myself, you're actually just doing that now as we're speaking, and it looks so good, doesn't it? Oh, that cropping of the green screen. You know, how many thousands would you have had to spend just 6 or 7 years ago to make that kind of quality of video? I think the other thing that really came across clearly there was iMovie isn't necessarily just about movies, is it? It's, although a movie will be your output. We've seen a fantastic example there. Just a collection of photographs can be used with a narration. It's just a completely different dimension, allowing children to convey their understanding of a subject, isn't it? And very easy to do.
Yeah, we talk about making movies a lot, or making films in the classroom, but really it's just, that's the literacy project. The film is just the end point. That's what they're working through. And to get there, they need to do all this research and learn all those facts and think about full sentences and put it together and present it back. And it's a fun way that the children don't realize that they have to do all this to get to the film. They all want to go and have a go at green screen, but to get there, well, they've got to have done all this first. So there's an awful lot of learning that we really have to get right, and the children really get on board with before we get to this point. And it becomes such a powerful tool. And we've only just started. Once we get a bit further, we've looked at Keynote. Maybe we start creating some animation to explain a process in Keynote, and then we bring that into iMovie and add a voiceover. So there's so much we can actually do with it once we kind of get to grips with it.
Amazing. Could talk about iMovie for the rest of the day, couldn't we? But we can't. That must have whet your appetite. And, we're working through the Apple Teacher modules. Here is a link to the program. It's completely free. Top QR code there will take you to an overview of the program, or just go and watch the last 6 or 7 videos that David and I have hosted. And of course, you're going to want to sign up. So that lower QR code there, sign in with your Apple ID. That's your iTunes account, your Apple TV account, or just, if you don't have one, which you should, just create one for this, because it's entirely worth it. Now, if you are a school who wants to take your iPad use to the next level, and you've got some ambition in terms of, maybe moving away from just using them for Safari, looking things up, and, go transition to that whole green screen iMovie experience, then there's a bit of work need to be done there. So we can help with that. We can help you plan with our Apple Planning Essentials workshop. We'll look at the 40 or so elements that go to make a successful technology program. We look at leadership, we look at teaching and learning, we look at the infrastructure, that's the environment piece on the slide. Now, what we do is we leave you with a plan. We'll look at all of those elements. We decide between ourselves, what's done, what will you do, what won't you do, anything you're not sure about. Talk you through all of that. And then, as you can see on the photo there, in the pre-COVID days, we would actually turn up to your school with a 2-meter wide poster to create your plan. We currently do it through the magic of the Numbers app, and we send you your plan as a PDF in an entirely socially distant AOK way. So we can do that for you. We'd love to do it. We have great fun doing these Planning Essentials workshops. If you want to arrange one of those, speak to us about that, please email us on the address on the screen, education@mccdigital.com. And we would love to talk to you about your plans. Now, thank you. We've got a few more to go, haven't we, David? Just a couple more. What's next?
Well, we're on to the last badge now. We're going to look at GarageBand in the next session.
GarageBand. Fantastic. Can't wait. GarageBand next week. We'll see you soon. And don't forget, we will be posting this video on the MCC YouTube channel. Share with your colleagues if they've missed it. And, we're designing this series so you can sort of work through them at your own speed. So, do feel free to share the links with your colleagues and friends. We'll be back in a few days, next week, with our GarageBand badge. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching.